about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So measles every now and then comes back, makes a comeback, and sadly we are seeing cases rising in the United States. They're saying the majority of these cases are people who are unvaccinated. I am very interested in the vaccinated cases. I hope we do get some more data on those because most of us are vaccinated. So if measles is making a comeback and people are vaccinated, why? Did the vaccine not take? Is measles getting smarter? But most reports are just concentrating on the unvaccinated individuals. And measles cases, they say, are rising, with infections confirmed in at least 5 states so far: Alaska, Georgia, New York, Rhode Island, and Texas. They say the cases that have been reported are mostly among individuals who have not been vaccinated for measles. Now, that's understandable. That's according to the CDC. But if they're mostly and not all, what about those people? Why? Is the vaccine not enough? Is this a new strain? So I'd like to know a little bit more about what's going on. Now, in Western Texas, an outbreak has grown to at least 24 cases. All of the cases, they say, in that cluster are in unvaccinated people who live in Gaines County, which borders New Mexico, and at least 9 patients have been hospitalized. 2 cases are in adults age 18 or older. The remaining cases are kids and adolescents. According to the Department of Services, DSHS, they say due to the highly contagious nature of the disease, additional cases are likely to occur in Gaines County and surrounding communities. Vaccine exemptions have grown in Gaines County. 7.5% of kindergartners, according to ABC News, had parents or guardians who filed for an exemption for at least one vaccine in 2013. 10 years later, that went up to 17.5%, one of the highest in all of Texas. So, that is something that is going to be spotlighted in terms of vaccine hesitancy. Why did it jump so much? What were people hesitant about? Is it because they heard there were side effects? Is it because of the COVID vaccine? Is it because parents are like, I'm taking my kids out of school, so now I don't have to do the vaccines? So we need to really look into this. Individual schools saw similar jumps in terms of vaccination exemptions. The Georgia Department of Public Health recently confirmed 2 additional cases of measles in metro Atlanta among unvaccinated family members. And health officials are now urging parents to vaccinate children who have not received the MMR, the measles, mumps, rubella shot. And it's basically 2 doses. First dose at a year, between 12 and 15 months. The second dose is between 4 and 6 years old. 1 dose protects you about 93% of the time. 2 doses could protect you 97% of the time. Now, another question I would like answered were any of these migrants? So one thing that Alejandro Mayorkas, the Health and Human Services Secretary of the last administration, had admitted is 1 in 3 migrants were sick with something. Well, we're not completely healthy. Back in the Ellis Island days, they wouldn't have been allowed in, but 1 in 3 migrants had something. And some of these things did include hepatitis, polio, I believe tuberculosis, and I think measles. And so if we do have individuals coming with infectious disease, we have to look at the border. We have to do health screenings. Ellis Island, they were pretty strict at the time. If you were sick, you couldn't come in. If you had a child who was well, and I think over 12 years old, that child would be allowed in, but the parents would have to stay back. So either the child would stay with the parents or the parents would say, go and make a life for yourself. But Ellis Island wouldn't let you through if you were sick. And so, we just need a little bit more data. All we're hearing is that there's measles, and these measles are happening in the majority of unvaccinated individuals, which it wouldn't surprise me. But are these individuals who recently traveled from another country where measles is more common? Are they bringing measles to us? Are any of these individuals vaccinated? And then why is measles making a comeback in vaccinated individuals? Remember, there was a measles outbreak that they said started at Disneyland? Not that it was Disneyland per se, but people who had gone to this Disneyland got exposed because, and they even vaccinated individuals had come down with it. And they said it was because there were tourists, and they believed the tourists were the patient zero from another international tourists. These are just things we need to be aware of. They say just one infected patient can spread measles up to 9 out of 10 susceptible close contacts. And the complications could be benign or they could be serious. Most of the time, people will get a rash, but sometimes you could get sepsis, which is an infection of the bloodstream, pneumonia, brain swelling, encephalitis, inflammation of the brain. So, if you aren't vaccinated, talk to your medical provider about that. If you live in an area where you think it's spreading, you definitely want to be seen. We don't necessarily have an anti-measles medication. Usually it's self-limiting. But if there are complications, we have to do supportive measures and help to limit the complications. And, people are calling the rash of measles is very fine. They're very small and usually flatter. And it's really obvious. I'm looking at some of the pictures posted. Those look more like chicken pox or something else. So look up online what the measles rash looks like so you're aware. And also keep in mind that telemedicine might not be the best place to go to for this. Usually with measles, it's reportable. So if your child is vaccinated or unvaccinated and gets measles, you want them tested and confirmed. And also in case there's complications later in life, you want to make sure that the medical provider is aware and that the child is aware. So, as I said, I want some questions answered as multiple states reporting that they've had some cases. And this happens every year. But Rhode Island, Georgia, New York City, Texas, Alaska, what do these groups have in common? 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. Hi guys, Dr. Dahlia here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdahlia.com. Check it out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot's Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot's Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, YouTube. Click like and subscribe. And if you ever miss our show, you could go to our website at drdahlia.com. So remember, there was a study a few years back saying women who identify as liberal seem to struggle more with poor mental health. Well, we have another study here saying liberal women are more likely to experience loneliness and experience less satisfaction in their life. This is according to Family Studies, the Institute of Family Studies. And they looked at research. This was the 2024 American Family Survey. And they say that young liberal women are markedly less satisfied with life than their conservative peers. They found that 37% of conservative women reported being completely satisfied with life, whereas only 12% of liberal women did. They said young conservative women are 3 times as likely to report being very satisfied with life compared to young liberal women. Moreover, liberal women are 2 to 3 times more likely to report they are not satisfied with their lives compared to conservative women. And they say, and consistent with previous research, the effect of ideology on young women's happiness held up to controls for age, education, race, income. So they basically filtered out if this had to do with somebody living in one part of the country or a certain age, etc. And, you would think the moderates would be the most happy and the most satisfied, but the study looked at conservatives versus liberals and moderates, and the conservatives seem to fare the best. Now, this concerns me in that, I think we just put too much into politics. Now, I love that we can vote. I love that we could have a passion about somebody we're voting for or a platform, but that shouldn't be all consuming your life. You should, okay, we have an election. You have the news. You could watch the news. We used to watch the news at 5:30 p.m., although I missed a lot of it because I was working. When you're doing 36-hour shifts at the hospital, on call, don't get to see a lot of news. You get little snippets. But you could separate from that. Now, people are so plugged in that we are getting news all the time. And this study was done when Biden was in office. So this isn't President Trump now being in office and liberal women struggling. This is from data while Biden was in office. So this bothers me because I don't want to see anybody's mental health be poor. I don't want people feeling lonely. I don't want people feeling less satisfied in life, especially as it pertains to politics, which a lot is fake and kind of brewed and fueled by media. And so what's going on here? So some people are going to call out the stereotypes, and they're going to say, well, liberal women may be more inclined to be single and may be more inclined to not need a man and to reject those types of traditional values of, well, you need to always have a partner. You need to be married. You need to have family. And, we might need to, research this. Do some women that kind of like, well, I don't need a man. I don't need a man. And I understand a lot of us. I remember when I was younger going, anything you could do, I could do better. Sometimes we have this whole girl power phase, but I love men and I wanted one and I wanted to be married. I wanted to have kids. Is it that instinctively we really need to tap in on our maternal instinct and and us not having children may make us feel unsatisfied? Is there something psychologically, in our, we are built, evolutionary wise to procreate. And for those of us that don't, do we end up feeling like, we're missing a limb or we're missing something in our lives? Is it that, I had a lot of patients who had post-abortion regret, even years after? Is it that abortions are more common in liberal women than conservative women? And that might be, adding to some of their stress. Is it that they feel like they aren't getting equality? Whereas conservative women may say, I'm good. He's killing the spiders. I'm breastfeeding. I'm doing this. I'm good. Whereas do some liberal women say, no, this isn't enough. And I'm not happy. I get to see inequality and I'm seeing it through a different filter and it's weighing on me. I'd really like to know what is going on because I don't want to see anybody suffer. If you're a Democrat or Republican or conservative or liberal or independent, that shouldn't be affecting your mental health. That shouldn't be making you feel lonely. Now, one theory that's been postulated with this is many conservative women may identify with a faith and religion. So they have that community. So if they're going to church or they're going to temple, or the mosque, or if they're, a part of that family community, they have, more individuals in their lives. Or if they are a part of an upbringing where kids are encouraged and having kids where they're surrounded by kids. I've had patients where they had no children, either sterility or they married later or something happened and they feel lonely now because they don't have kids. They don't have the grandkids. They don't have those other family members. And so, I'd hate to say this has to do with politics, but it might. There really might be some sort of a tie with somebody who's more liberal leaning or conservative leaning. I've always told you all, do not let politics run your life. Politics are politics. You have other things to do. And I understand the media and politicians want to completely interweave into our lives, but you need to find that separation. If you want to believe in God, if you want to go to temple, if you want to go to church, if you want to get married, if you don't want to get married, that's not a Republican or Democrat thing. Don't live your life to be a Republican or don't live your life to be a Democrat or a conservative or liberal. I mean, if that's something you really, really want, if that's your religion, well, then that's your religion. But understand what it is. Look at how the Republican Party changed. This is a much different Republican Party with Trump. It's a Make America Great Again party, a lot of common sense, a lot of why are we doing this? Why do we have records in a mine? Why are we, spending on contracts that aren't being fulfilled? That's a different part. That's like a cleanup party. And so political parties change and their platforms change, their ideologies change. And you need to go back and realize what is it that you need. When I heard that there were some young women while the Roe v. Wade overturn was going on and there was a lot of, chaos and commotion. And I was hearing some young women online going, I can't wait to have my first abortion. I think people are losing sight. I understand they were trying to say that for political, I guess, community, and that may be their community. But, I'm telling you right now, I've had many, many patients who miss the child that they could have had. Some don't. There's been studies saying many do fine, but there are others where they're like, that could have been somebody in my life. So, we take a step back and figure out what it is you really want. We don't let the media and politicians hijack. If you want a puppy, if you want a relationship, if you want a job, if you want to travel, if you want to not be alone later in life, if you want to know that there's always going to be somebody there for you, that is what needs to guide you in what you're doing. I hear a lot of people say, don't go into medicine. Now with politics and Obamacare, it's a mess. You're not going to be able to pay off your loans. I told you guys this the other day. If you really want medicine and if you really want to help people, do it. Now, I understand there's been some laws and things have changed, and it might not be that conducive or lucrative, but if that's really, really what you want to do, do it. I mean, radio is not lucrative. but I want to do it and I'm happy. So you need to figure out what makes you happy. If you having an electric vehicle and going to, protests and I don't know, and being, a part of a political party makes you happy, then all the power to you. Then you're not lonely. Then you're not unhappy. But if we really are seeing, on the whole, people with certain political ideologies struggling, we need to look a little deeper as to why is that happening. 1-877 Doc.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. I've never been on an African safari tour. I think the reason why is I've wanted to. I think that's amazing. I love animals. I love watching animals in their natural habitat. But to go to Africa would be very expensive. I've had some rich friends do that. That's a little too rich for my blood because you have to fly to Africa. And then you have to pay for the tour. And on top of that, you have to take off work. You know what's interesting? I could pull the money and the miles together to make a flight, but to take off work, see, like for me, I'm great with a weekend. Here, a weekend there. I'm great with that. But if you're going to go to Africa, you can't do that in 5 days. You gotta take a long time. So I've never gone. But I'm noticing with some of these safari tours that people are getting mauled. Some people are getting killed. And I'm no, veterinary specialist, but I understand that animals don't like vehicles. And we've seen elephants charge vehicles. We've seen animals feel like these vehicles are threatened. People say, oh, these safari tours are fine because the animals understand that there's a car or a truck or a tram. And, the people are going to stay in the tram and they're going to click and do videos and selfies and laugh and make noise. And they're used to it. Well, maybe not. Apparently, we're being told that Lisa Manders, 70 years old, was attacked by a hippo while on an African safari. She was in Zambia with her husband, Craig, and she suffered catastrophic injuries and died moments after the attack. This is according to a lawsuit her husband has now filed against African Portfolio, the Connecticut-based company that organized the trip. He said, had we understood the dangers caused by the hippopotamus, we never would have agreed to be in such close contact while on foot. Ooh. So they got off the tram. He said the idea that we were unwittingly exposed to such an extreme danger, a danger made even worse by our tour guides leaving Lisa alone on foot with nothing between her and such a deadly animal, was nothing short of astonishing. So the pair left America May 31st, 2024 for a 10-day safari in Zambia. They had only been there for, see, that's the thing. I can't plan 10 days. plus the flight. I couldn't do that. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I mean, I want to do a safari, just that's just too much. They had only been there for 5 days when they went out on a bushwalk. The guides, according to the lawsuit, this is being reported by Daily Mail, knew or should have known that the close presence of the wild hippopotamus to participants in the bushwalk posed an immediate and extreme danger due to the known tendencies of hippopotami. Yeah, you don't say hippopotamuses. You say hippopotami. To be highly unpredictable, territorial, and aggressive. Yet the guides left the area, one at least of which was armed with a rifle for the protection of our tour group. That is tragic. That's just tragic. The hippo charged out of the water towards Lisa and attacked her. She was unable to escape. The hippopotamus violently attacked her, grabbing her by its mouth, lifting her off the ground, shaking her entire body, and crushing her head and body with its bite. Just horrifying. So the company is defending against the claims, saying it was a really unusual and tragic accident, and so based on and all that, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But it's just frightening to see that somebody who was on a safari lost their life trying to enjoy the wildlife. And I've done that. So I was in South Carolina, and my brother-in-law was renting a place. No, maybe he had a condo. I forget, but they have this place where we were all able to hang out and enjoy 4th of July. And we're doing a walk, and I'm hearing the frogs. I videotaped it a little bit. I even showed you guys a picture of an alligator. Or was it a crocodile? Oh, my gosh. I know how to identify a crocodile and an alligator. I think it was a croc. And I get close up to it. I just get close. I'm on the land, but you see the crocodile in the water with its eyes above the surface looking at me. And I wanted to get a picture. And that was stupid. Now, thank God the crocodile, and my brother-in-law said, you might want to step back a little bit because he could jump. He could, he's fast in water. And I stepped back and I was like, what was I thinking? You see, we're not trained in the wild. I mean, I've been out. I mean, maybe I've had a little bit more training than others, but we're in cities. We're in suburbia. I mean, I live in the desert, so I understand that everywhere I go, there could be a rattlesnake right next to my ankle, or there could be a coyote, or a rabid bat. So growing up in the desert, I'm aware when I'm walking around that anything could jump out at me, and so just be careful. Even when there's even when there's houses, because a coyote came and killed my cat. Just went right into the neighborhood and grabbed the cat and beheaded her. And so, some of us live, in areas where there might be more wild, but I could totally see myself if the guide says you could go out there, it's okay. Going, oh, all right, they're beautiful animals. Like, remember Jurassic Park? I'm watching Jurassic Park and the Brontosaurus, the Vegisaurus, right, that the little kid called it, starts coming close. I'm like, I wouldn't even be close to those. But then they the girl petted, and then it sneezed on her, and everybody was laughing. But my first instinct was, no, don't do that. Don't do that. And so I wonder if we're so used to seeing animals in San Diego Zoo or in a zoo or in an aquarium or something that we're like, oh, how amazing. And we don't realize, we forget that we are in the middle of the wild, in the middle of a safari, in the middle of a jungle. I keep reminding you all how we could be hunted by humans. When you hear how kids or people are just grabbed, we talked about some things that you could do if that happens or how to prevent that happening, but there are people hunting humans out and among us. It's not common, but they are. And if you do walk to your mailbox, or you are walking your dog, just like that guy in Philly who was walking his dog, he risks being killed. And so we should have weapons on us. There was a woman who was walking her dog in Florida within her housing development. I think it was even a gated community. And there were waterways in this Florida community. and she's walking her little dog along the not the coast, but just on the grass, along the water. And a crocodile jumps out. It starts attacking the dog and then attacks her and kills her. Did she have a knife on her? Did she have a gun? I understand there's a lot of states with different gun, but you should still be able to have a knife. Now, mind you, if a hippo is charging you, you're in trouble. But maybe we just need to train people to be more aware. And I keep hearing of these animals not like, and here's the thing. They said, well, they felt threatened, but I didn't do anything. You don't know where their baby is. You don't know if they have a sick friend or family member hippo. You don't know if they just hunted and they have food and they think you're coming after their food. You don't know if another animal, human, threatened them. So now they're like, well, here's another human. They're going to threaten me too. You don't know what they're thinking. They're animals. Now, I keep bringing up the story where a woman found a baby deer whose parents were hunted, and she took care of this deer, raised it, nurtured it, kept it in her barn, took care of it. And when the deer was an adult, she goes into the barn one day, accidentally, I guess, spooks it, and it charges her and kills her. Now, we just have to understand with animals, they're animals. It's unpredictable. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit, and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. I got to tell you, boy, things are definitely changing. It's a different world. And I'm getting to that age where I don't handle change that well. I mean, I understand some things have to change, and I understand that some things that should have been changed that weren't needs to. But healthcare, much different these days. And one of my listeners asked if I knew today what I knew back in the 90s, would I have been a doctor? Oh, my answer is an absolute resounding yes. I always wanted to be a doctor ever since I was a little girl, and I love the smell of Band-Aids. and helping people with their boo-boos, yes, I would have. I might have gone into show business a little sooner. So I had an opportunity back in the 90s. There was the Catch a Rising Star circuit. And I had an opportunity to be a part of that for singing. I know you all have heard me sing, and you're like, well, for some reason, my voice was a little better back then. And I go back. Do I have any regrets? No, because I wanted to be the first person in my family to finish college and go through, and be able to have a degree, the first person in my family to have a degree. And I knew I was going to have to financially take care of some family members. And so I wouldn't have done it differently. I'm glad I went into school and medical school and all that. But maybe I would have tried to dip my toe a little bit more into show business. There was just no time. And I had to make a choice between show business and getting a full ride scholarship to college and then working my way through medical school. And so I chose the latter, and I'm glad I did. But I get asked, with high school students, et cetera, would I advise them to go into medicine, or would I advise a career in healthcare to people these days with the way the environment is? And it's a question that many people are looking at, the younger generation, because you have AI, you have work from home, you have administrations where it looks like whatever is the landscape now could change in 4 years and then go back. I remember when I was younger, everybody said you can't predict the future, but at least you had a little bit of a path. You kind of could see where the trees are and where the pitfalls were, because there was some sort of consistency. Now it's just a fog. I can't even plan a vacation for next year because I have no idea what's coming down the pike. That's how crazy things are right now. And it's because tech made things go exponentially in a whole different direction. And so, is AI going to take over a lot of doctors' jobs? Absolutely. Because the public wants it. The public doesn't want to ask a doctor for medication and be turned down. They just want to type what they want to get that medication. So telemedicine is going to easily be transformed into an AI platform where somebody's license is going to have to be on the line for this to, under current, restrictions. But people they already trialed this 15 years ago in UK, where you just type in your blood pressure and then the computer spits out your prescription. I'm sorry, no computer can do what a human can do. We've got instinct. But apparently people don't care. They don't want to get their pap smears or their skin cancer screens or the prostate checks or the colonoscopies. Everybody wants to do it yourself now. So very easily, if you gave a patient a choice, do you want to go to a computer or a doctor? Let's say a computer. So yes, AI would be taking over. In terms of the ability to have work-life balance, doctors have some of the highest burnout rate. Nurses have some of the highest burnout rate. Dentists, etc. Pharmacists, physical therapists, they have high burnout. And Gen Zs and younger generations are looking at this going, why would I do that? I don't want to burn out. It's too hard. So my advice to you is, if you really want to help people and you like the health sciences and you like making people feel better and making a difference in their lives, and you like touching, and holding their hands and being there and diagnosing and thinking or delivering babies or whatever, or surgery, then yeah, go into it. Every career is going to have their ups and downs. Engineering is a fascinating career, but anybody who's been an engineer in the past is always at the whim of the hiring managers and the contracts. They have a job now, or maybe they don't, and so I think there's more stability in healthcare because we still need doctors and we still need pharmacists and we still need nurses. They won't go away no matter how much AI is there. But it is different. I imagined, to have a small clinic, cool nurses, patients coming in, being there for them on the weekend, helping them. And I did. And then all of a sudden, Obamacare happened. And people weren't paying their bills because Obamacare allowed high deductibles to happen. And everybody had high deductibles. And so I closed it earlier than I had to. And I went to teach. I never thought that was going to happen. And you keep hearing this from doctors. Obamacare killed, like TV killed the radio star. Obamacare killed the medical office. Mind you, the pre-existing condition clause had to happen and physicals had to be covered, but the rest of it was crap. And so here we are today where people get hired. And I talk to a lot of these young doctors. They're not happy. Okay, and I'm like, wait a second. You're supposed to have that look on your face 10, 15 years in. This is supposed to be the best time of your career. No, because they're not autonomous. They have bosses. They have paperwork. They have all the stuff they have to do, and it's overwhelming, and they don't have work-life balance. And so a lot of younger people are looking at medicine as but here's the thing. You can't be in the healthcare professions if you don't love what you do. I love diagnosing. I love making people feel better, making them laugh, educating them. I love teaching. And so when I get to do that with a patient, even through telemedicine, I feel satisfied. When I diagnose some really cool esoteric things that nobody would have missed, but thank God they called and they got me that call and I saved their life, I'm like, yes. And there's no feeling like it. So I have no regrets at all. I wish I would have spent more time. So I'm not a risk taker. So I didn't want to do a lot of risky, moves in terms of the stock market and real estate. And I didn't have the money because we had student loans. So maybe I might have looked back to see if there was something I could have done more. But for the most part, I'm happy. So if you have a child or an adolescent or a young adult that's like, I think I want to do this, if you want to help people, you still get to do that. But the problem with any profession, talk to cops, you want to be there. You want to be protecting people. You want to be out there helping people. And then all of a sudden, it's just paperwork. It's like 90% paperwork, 10% what you get to do. That's all jobs. Just like engineering. It's like, maybe 10% of what you get to do, but then there's all these other things you have to do. Hopefully you like those other things. Me, I don't mind paperwork and I don't mind documenting and all that, but I really want it to be about the patient. And so people also have to have a realistic look. I don't think the younger generations are very realistic about what jobs and careers are. You're not going to love your job. If your vocation is a vacation, was that Mark Twain's quote? Roughly, if you want to scuba dive and you get to scuba dive for your job, yeah, I'm sure that's fun, but I'm sure that also gets old. And I'm sure you do have red tape and other things you have to do. So one is decide what it is you really want to do and what's going to make you happy and what's going to get you up in the morning, because you got to get up in the morning. See, I love having my radio show in the morning. I can't wait to get out of bed and get behind a mic. So I love my day. I look forward to my day every day, and I'm so grateful. Is there crap that I put up with? Yeah. But if you want to help people and you love what you're doing or you want to be in healthcare, go for it. Because it's always going to change. But the only thing that's going to stay constant is your passion. 1-877 Doc Dolly.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.